Ever wonder how to turn a simple piece of paper into a mesmerizing work of art? Today, we're diving into the world of watercolor to create stunning cards that will leave a lasting impression. Let's get into it right now. All right, so the first thing you're going to need is your supplies. You're going to need an image to transfer and a pencil. We're going to take and scrub the pencil across the back of your paper. I just printed this out from Word onto a piece of copy paper, and I'm just using the back of the pencil to transfer the image. You want to put down a heavy amount of graphite. Now I'm going to take and tape it to my card watercolor panel, which is just a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm going to trace the outline. Now, if you do not put down enough graphite from your pencil, you're not going to have a really dark outline. Like when we get done with this, I will show you how mine was. I ended up having to go back over it, but that was okay because I needed it to be a little bit darker for y'all to see in the video. When you're doing this at home, you probably won't want to have that transfer so dark. But again, you're just going to outline your letters, and all I did was printed this out on Word. I increased it to like, I think it was 120 size font, and you're just going to pick out a font in your word processing program that you like and just type out your word and trace it on. It's super easy. So we're about to finish up tracing. We're going to use our Sakura Koi watercolors today and create a fun plaid pattern in our image. You could use any kind of image for this. I encourage you to be super creative with this. You could use a word. You could use some kind of outline. Sky's the limit. See how light that was? All right, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to darken this up for y'all. So we're going to I'm just tracing back over my outline with the pencil a little bit harder so y'all can see what we have down here because it's hard to see for y'all. Now, for me in the video, it was super easy to see, but I wanted y'all to be able to see what we're doing. So we're going to outline that a little bit darker. I know I've said that like 4 times, but again, it's important. All right, so we're doing our last R, and then we're going to do our Y, and we're going to get started creating our plaid pattern. I cannot say that today, y'all. All right, so here we go. Now, you're going to want and tape your paper down to a hardboard because you are using watercolors, and that's going to keep it from lifting if you get too much water on it. So we're just going to take some painter's tape. I've taken and putting it on my pants so to take some of the stick off, and I'm just going to leave a nice little border around the edge, and I'm going to just tape that down to my hardboard. You can find these anywhere. I believe I've listed them in the supply list below of the video. Now we're going to take a T-ruler and we're going to draw lines the width of the ruler just to give us a guide for our plaid. I found it easier that way. Now we're going to take and mix up our color and we're going to test it out. You want a kind of a light color, so that's a little dark, so I've watered it down a little bit more. To lighten watercolor, you're going to take and add more water, and then we're going to come right over our lines with that color to start our plaid. So I'm just going to paint very lightly across that, and I'm not worrying about the darkness yet because when we come back over it with the second pass, it will get a little darker and give us a little variation in our colors of our plaid pattern. All right, here's our red, and we're going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the lines. I think this would have been really cute if I would have not done the plaid and just did a peppermint pattern like with the red and white stripes. That would have been super cute also for this. But again, this is a super easy and unique way to send a card to someone that's handmade. It doesn't take a lot of effort. There's no real hard techniques in this. But, excuse me, it will allow you to send that unique card that they're going to just really flip over and want to know how you did it. All right, now we're going to come in with a green shade, and I'm going to test that on my scrap piece of paper there. It's the same paper I'm using. We're going to dry our red pattern or red stripes. And we're going to come back in between those and paint our green stripes. Super easy, same way, light hand, light amount of color. If you make a mistake, just take a paper towel and kind of blot it off. Watercolor is super forgiving. I know y'all might think it's hard, but really it just takes a little practice, and the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. I know everybody says that, and you just kind of roll your eyes like, oh my God, really? That's about the best way to get better at your watercolors. It's just practice. I used to hate watercoloring. Hated it because I was really bad at it, but I kept practicing and I got better. So we're just going to keep filling in our green stripes here across our letters. And again, you don't have to do letters. You could use a shape or any kind of outside outline image. An outline image is going to be best because you're not going to have to worry about all the fussy details, because you really just want the outline so that you can just fill in with your plaid or your chosen pattern. You could do dots, you could do candy cane stripes. The sky's the limit, y'all. All right, so we're finishing up our green stripes, this section, and then we're going to dry that. And we're going to come in and add some red. I forgot a red stripe. So now we're going to dry that paint down, and we're going to come in with the paint that we're using. It was just a slight tiny bit darker, and we're going to come across the opposite direction and start creating our plaid. Now, see, I had a little too much water, so I just took a dry brush that I had cleaned in water when dried off on my paper towel and soaked up that paint. And we're going to just come in with our different stripes. And notice that the stripes have variations. There's some thick, there's some thin. You want to have that variation when you're doing something like that, especially since we're not using a stamped image. Excuse me. All right, so there we go. Here's our rest of our plaid. We're going to fill in the rest of this. And I know y'all think this is probably hard, but really it's not. It's super, super easy. All right, so as we're painting this in, we're going to talk about what's going on. So everything's going well for the holidays. Everybody's here at the house is getting all decorated and prettied up. We've been decorating outside. Christmas is his big holiday. He loves some Christmas. All right, so let's go back to the card for a minute. Now, see how I just went back and painted those other deeper stripes or thicker stripes? That's what you want. You want the variations. So yeah, everything's going well here. I hope everything's going well with y'all, getting ready for the holidays, and y'all are not too shopped crazy, because I know it's a super busy time of the year, and I'm sure by the time this video comes out that you should have already had all your shopping done online, because Lord knows it's going to be a pain to get stuff in by Christmas. All right, we're going to dry this back to the card. And then we're going to come in with our next row of green stripes. And again, we're doing those variations, same way. All right, so we're painting our stripes in, and we are just making them nice and thick. So that's something you're going to want to do. You want that variation. Now, it doesn't take long to do. I know I've repeated that like 4 times as I'm doing this voiceover. Excuse me. Right now, so back to our little story time going on. Yeah, so we're in the middle of decorating everything. We're not putting up that many trees. I think we only have 1 tree up this year in the parlor. And he just bought it. He thought he was getting a pencil tree, but he decided to get a bigger one and thought it was still a pencil tree. And it ended up not being a pencil tree. So he did not read everything on Amazon like he should have. But that's okay, because we have a nice big thick 7-foot tree now that's pre-lit, and we don't have to string lights on it, which is like the worst part ever. All right, so we're finishing up this layer, and then we're going to dry it. Back to our card here. We have a couple more little stripes to do in our plaid, and can you see how easy and quick this has gone together? I've only sped the painting up just like 2 times fast, so it doesn't take a long time. Now we're going to dry that. I'm just checking it. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add the fine details. We're going to take and come in and add some little holly leaves. And I'm just doing a little zigzags, and I'm doing the darkest shade, and I'm going to pull it out to the lighter. So I put down where I wanted my darkest to be, and I'm pulling it out with just some clean water. They don't have to be perfect. It's just it's going to recognize as a holly. So we're going to do our next one. I got to have it needed a little bit darker. And I'm going to pull that out with just a clean damp brush. I had a little hair on it. And then we're going to drop in some little red dots for berries. And I'm just using a very light shade of ink. No shading there. But these fine details like this is what's going to really take your card to the next level. We're going to add another little holly down at the bottom. This one's going to have 3 little sprigs of holly. I started doing putting down the water first and decided that wasn't the way to go. I need to just put the shadow down and then pull it out with just some clean water, how I should have been doing that. So I went back and did that. So I just pulled it out. We're going to add our other little, here's why I tried to do the water. It's like, oh, wait, that's not going to work. So we're just going to add our shade, pull it out. We're going to add our 3rd little sprig up there and our shadow and pull it out with just that damp brush. Well, I don't know why every time I start to do a voiceover, I start coughing. It happens every time. All right, we're going to pull that out. Now we're going to end up putting our berries and darken those up just a tad. And we're going to add in our little veins of our holly leaves. That's just a little darker shade of green. And I'm going to dry that. And we're going to take a black waterproof pen. And we're going to come around and outline our letters and our holly and everything. This is a great way to really take that simple design and elevate it. Before I do that, I'm going to peel off the tape. Notice how I'm peeling off my tape. I'm pulling it almost back on itself. And that helps me to avoid ripping the watercolor paper. Now we're going to take that pen. I think I'm using a Sakura Jelly Roll glaze pen is what it is. It's a black glaze pen. I believe that's who makes it. It's Sakura. I know it's Jelly Roll. Yeah. It's XPGB849. It's a black glaze pen. You can find them on Amazon where they're all by themselves. Oh, I'm writing in my sub-sentiment down there in just pencil. I've put 2 lines down with the T-ruler so that I could easily write in there. You could easily stamp this if you wanted to. I chose to just write it. And then I'm going to come back over that with a pen. And here we go. We're going to just trace over that. That's why I wanted it nice and in between those lines, and they needed to go right up from top of the line to the bottom of the line. That helps you line that up. Now we're going to outline our sentiment, our large sentiments. What this does, it helps to clean up any weird edges you may have. You can just trace over it with that pen. A gold gel pen would be nice, or a silver gel pen. I just couldn't find mine at the time. That's what I originally thought about doing, was the gold, but it was in the house in my painting supplies inside. So I thought I had another one out here, but apparently I don't. So we're just going to trace around our edges and clean that up with our glaze pen. Just take your time, go slow. Don't get carried away. Everything's fine. I'm just going to trace it. You see how that actually makes the plaid pop even more? Helps it to just stand out from our cardstock, because this is a simple 1-layer-ish card. We are going to attach it to our card base, but it's really just a 1-layer card front. We're going to outline our holly leaves. I think I just outlined where the shadows would be. I can't remember. No, I did both sides. I started out just doing that one side and decided to do both. I think it would look good either way. All right, now we're going to dry that because it's a glaze pen, so it does stay wet longer. And then I'm going to come in with a white gel pen and add a few little highlights. And I'm going to add some white stripes to the some of the thicker stripes in the plaid. I'm just going to come over those with just a white gel pen to add a little bit more interest to that. And we're going to take and add this to our card base. A few more little stripes. I got a little carried away, y'all. I did. I got a little carried away. But that's okay, because it makes it nice and pretty. All right, so there's everything with that. We're going to dry that gel pen, and then I'm going to take and pop this up on some foam tape. There's a look at our finished plaid pattern. Oh, I'm going to erase. I forgot. I got to erase the pencil lines. Oh my goodness, that would have been bad. That's why I needed to dry the gel pen. So I'm going to come in with my eraser and just erase all of the pencil marks that are not trapped under the watercolor. Any kind of extra little stray marks. Now we're getting to the card. All right, I've just got a top side folding card base. It's a standard A2 size card made from Desert Storm cardstock, and we're going to pop our focal panel up on some foam tape. This is still that same Big Mama roll of 3M foam tape I have been working through for the last 8 years. This stuff lasts. I needed a little thinner piece, so I'm going to cut that down with my scissors, cut off any excess that's going to stick out. Now we're going to take and peel those backings off. Watercolor paper is a hard thing to get to stick down, as you could see when that tape moved. So you got to be real careful. Now I'm going to take and add some Barely Art glue on the top of that foam tape so that it gives me a little wiggle room. And I'm going to make sure my card's going the right way. Pop that down, and that finishes my card. Now, if you like this video, you're going to like this video that's up on the top. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you.